So I will introduce our next keynote speaker, the presidential candidate Achilleas Δημητριάδης, on the idea for a truth commission.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Let me first thank the organizers, Cyprus Forum, for taking the risk to invite me today and share with you some ideas which are not so common. Let me thank Mile, who's left, for a very nice introduction panel discussing a truth commission. And of course, let me pay my respects to President Santos. The way he introduced the issue of truth is, for me, very interesting and very important. I got the idea of a truth commission from Desmond Tutu when he visited Cyprus as one of the elders. It wasn't my idea, I just got it from him. And I wanted to share this with you because I think it's important for Cyprus to move on. I think truth is very important for this island. So let me start with the obvious thing, which is the conflict in Cyprus. I will not get into the details of how we got into it and where we are and why it's not right and why it's wrong and who died and who is missing and what are we going to do. I want you to look at the future. The past is there. I want the future. And for me, the future takes into account the intercommunal conflict, the Turkish invasion, but it takes into account the missing. And I want to talk about the missing because for me, it is the starting point of a truth commission. There are real people out there who wait for their loved ones to come back. These people have been told that their loved ones have not died. Right or wrong, I will not discuss. They are there. They are allowed closure. They are entitled to closure. We do not have a right to deprive this information from them. So yes, there was war. Yes, there were atrocities. Yes, one blames the other. But look at the future for a change. Don't look at the past. It is there simply to guide you. So let's look at some of the numbers, which is very sad. There are missing persons from both communities. 1,510 Greek Cypriots, 492 Turkish Cypriots. There are still missing today 975 families do not know what happened to their loved ones. Yes, the chances are that they are probably not alive. But that is not only the question. The question is, do we know what happened to them? Do we have the remains? Can we have a tomb to go and pay our respects once a week, once a month, once a year? Can we give these people closure so that they go on with their lives? They have a right to know. We have an obligation to tell. And that is the equation. That is what we are missing. So we have the CMP, the Committee on Missing Persons. It has been working since 1981 when it was established, and this is interesting, by a UN General Assembly mandate. It is important to note that, and I'll come back to it later. Its obligation or mandate or mission is to investigate and exhume remains and deliver them to the families. That's all very good, but it offers no explanation as to the cause of death, the circumstances of disappearance, and actually does not offer any real information for the families which they are entitled to receive. 2 bullets in the skull is not enough. He died because of bullet wounds. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. I want the truth. The families want the truth. They are entitled to it. And that is what we are dealing with today. So this brings me into transitional justice. President Santos talked about it, so he ruined part of my presentation, but he said it so nicely because he actually went through it, and that experience is very important. There are more than 40 truth commissions all over the world. Perhaps the most famous one is South Africa. Nelson Mandela was there. He guided his country through a truth commission and everything else. Colombia was there. President Santos guided his country through. There needs to be a balance between peace and justice. And it is that delicate balance that actually creates the discussion. But you should never lose track of where we're going. The way forward can only be truth. It can only be peace. It can only be reconciliation. We need to keep our mind towards that goal, because otherwise our country will remain in a ceasefire situation and never proceed to peace. That is really what is at stake. So what am I proposing? I am proposing to upgrade the existing system. The CMP operates with a Greek Cypriot, a Turkish Cypriot, and the third member, as they call it. Well, why don't we upgrade the system? We have everything working, and why can't we do a bi-communal truth commission? Very simple exercise. You upgrade the system, where people can come in, express remorse, provide information, and in exchange obtain immunity from prosecution. Because yes, these people have committed terrible criminal acts. For these acts, they are liable. But because of the information they provide and the remorse they express, we strike a deal. And that deal is the balance between peace and justice in order to make our society able to proceed in the future. And that is part of transitional justice, and the panel just before me, I think, was doing an excellent job in tackling these matters. So let me come to the dilemma. Truth for immunity. Balance between peace and justice. Do we need to decide this dilemma? The answer is no. Because this dilemma has already been decided in 1990. Because the CMP operates on the assumption or the undertaking that no criminal prosecutions will be initiated on both sides of the green line for people who come in and give the information. So the dilemma is not there. It is a very interesting theoretical discussion, but for the last 32 years, it has been operating on de facto immunity from prosecution. So that makes things easier in the sense that I, for one, will not upset a 30-year-old tradition in law which has worked. And people should feel free to come out and bring this information to the ones who need to receive it. And that's the families. So what do we do? Well, very simple three-step approach. First, you amend the CMP terms of reference. You remember I mentioned this was a resolution of the General Assembly of the United Nations. A simple majority will amend it. And that can be initiated by any government that is interested in this matter. Step 2, amend the evidence law on both sides of the green line. Interestingly, it's identical up to 1960 because it was common, and the advancements in the law are very limited. And then you expand the immunity not just to criminal prosecution, but also civil cases and administrative cases. And then you create a legal immunity, which is the way to do it. And third, and perhaps the most important, you set up an internal regulation for the functioning of the Truth Commission. And that is a matter for the Greek Cypriot member, the Turkish Cypriot member, and perhaps the third member who can do it. So what's the way forward? Well, the way forward is working through NGOs. There is an NGO called Truth Now Cyprus, which operates, and that NGO can team up with another one representing Turkish Cypriots. Then you have to address the relatives, because they are the ones most affected by it. They are the ones entitled to the truth. Then you look at civil society, and you look at us, you look at yourselves here, who are dealing with this matter. And then you look at the political process, and you ask all presidential candidates for this presidential campaign, are you supporting a truth commission? That is the question for them. So what's the conclusion? A truth commission for Cyprus. Why not? A truth commission is the seed of peace. Let's plant it and watch it grow. Thank you very much.